Okay, good tabach. We're going to be learning tonight Tzadi Aleph, Amud Beis, and Daf Tzadi Beis. It'll take us all the way to the Mishnah, toward the bottom of Tzadi Beis, Amud Beis, about 12 lines from the bottom. And tonight we're starting on the bottom of Tzadi Aleph, Amud Aleph. This time I'm actually starting at the right place. And we're 8 lines or so from the bottom. And the Gemara is going to get into a discussion about when two different Isurim coincide, how do we then determine the shear? So let's get started with the first sugya for tonight. Ba'minei Rava me Rav Nachman. Rava asked a question from his Rabbi, Rav Nachman. Remember that Rava was 4th century Amoraim. He lived about the year 300. Rav Nachman was 3rd century, his Rabbi. Zorak kizayis truma labayis tameh. We know, of course, that one is not allowed to make truma tameh, bottom of Tzadi Aleph Amud Aleph. And what happens if you throw it into a house that has a status of tuma? So therefore, you're making the truma tameh. So your zorak kizayis truma, a kizayis of truma into a house that's tameh, mahu. What is the din? Says the Gemara, lemai. Why are you even asking this question? It's tameh. What's the havamina? So says the Gemara, ila inyan Shabbos. If you're asking about Shabbos and the concerns of carrying on Shabbos and changing reshuyos, so then kigrogris ba'inan. Then it should be obvious that we use our regular shear of a grogeris, a dried fig, whatever that is. Ila inyan tuma. And if you're talking about tuma, then kibetza ochlin ba'inan. Then we need a kibetza. Kibetza is 2 kizayis. But the case that we presented was a case of a kizayis. A kizayis is half of the shear of tuma. So how, under what circumstances was Rabbi even asking his questions? What was actually the shaila itself? It says the Gemara, first of the longest lines, bottom of the page, V'olam le'inyan Shabbos. Really, we were asking about Hilchos Shabbos. Ukigon di'ika pachos mikebetza ochlin. Really, what you were throwing was less than a kibetza. V'hai mashlimo lebeitza, and then it's combined with this food, this truma food, to make it into a kibetza. Do we say midimitzaref le'inyan tuma? Do we say that because we allow the non-truma and truma foods to combine to reach the shear, at which point the truma will become tameh? Do we say that because midimitzaref le'inyan tuma mechayev nami le'inyan Shabbos, and therefore we change the shear from a kibetza of normally what we would normally use on Shabbos as a grogeris, but we match what's going on with the isser of the truma? Odilma kol le'inyan Shabbos kegrogeris, but in which one? Do we say that because in one moment, 2 different isurim are happening, we're making the truma tameh, and at the same time that's true, we're violating Shabbos? Which shear do we follow? The more light, the more lenient shita, or the more strict shita? Do we follow the shita of grogeris, our standard shita by Shabbos, or kibetza? So that, says the Gemara, Amar le tani tuha. We've already learned this. No problem. I can answer this question for you. Says the Gemara as follows: Abba Shaul Omer. Abba Shaul teaches us as follows. Shtei halechem, these were the two breads that were brought on Shavuos. The lechem hapanim, of course, as we know in the Beis HaMikdash, there was always lechem hapanim. Shiuran kegrogeris. We know, of course, that the shear for that is a grogeris. Says the Gemara, ve'amai. Why do we say that it's a grogeris? Lema, we should say as follows. Midile inyan yotze, turning to the top of Tzadi Aleph Amud Beis, midile inyan yotze bekizayis. Maybe because if a person were to take out the lechem apanim or the shtei halechem outside of the azara into a space that's usher to eat that food, so that's usher too. Maybe we should match that shear. Shabbos nami bekizayis. So maybe what the Gemara is recommending, what Rav Nachman said back to Rava. Remember, the dialogue started with Rava speaking to Rav Nachman. Rav Nachman said back, we already learned it. Where did we learn it from? From the Shtei Alechem, from the Lechem Apanim. So says the Gemara, maybe we should see that we should be matching the shiurim. And therefore, going back to Rava's question, what's Rav Nachman's really answering him really? That yes, we should match the other shear of kibetza in regards to tuma and not use the regular shear of grogeris in regards to Shabbos. Question answered by tuma when you're doing 2 things at once. Says the Gemara, absolutely not. You can't even compare the 2 cases. What is Rav Nachman even answering Rava? Hachi hashta. Hachi hashta. What is this comparison? Hasam, over there by the case that Rav Nachman quoted, the case of the shtei halechem and the lechem apanim, mide'afke chutz lechomas ha'azara ifsal. Once you go out of the walls of the azara, the shtei halechem and the lechem apanim become puzzle. Puzzle lebiyotze. That's when you go out, it's going to be puzzle. Ashabes lo mechayev, but you have yet to be chayev on Shabbos at that point. In other words, the cases are not comparable because by the bread, the first isser of the food becoming puzzle is triggered on its own. separate of Shabbos. And Shabbos lo mechayv adam mafik le l'reshus harabim. But hacha, in our case of tuma, when you're launching the tuma from a reshus harabim into, let's say, a window of a house that's tamei, then Shabbos v'tuma bahade hadade ka'asyan. These two isurim are coming together at the same time, at the same moment that the food that you throw through the window goes through the threshold of the window. You've done two things to that food. You've made the truma tamei, and you've also violated the isur of switching Rishuyos on Shabbos. So says the Gemara, back to Rav Nachman, you can't even compare the two cases. Have a mina that maybe we can answer Rava's question by Truma to say that yes, we should say the shear by Tuma should be transferred over, and we don't use the regular shear by Shabbos of Groveris because they're happening at the same time. Have a meaning that we can answer from the world of Shtei Alechem Alechem Apanim. Says the Gemara, the cases are not comparable because it's not equal footing. One case, the two Risurim are happening sequentially, and the other cases, they are happening concurrently, and that doesn't work out, and therefore the Gemara leaves this unanswered. We don't know the answer to Rava's question if we were, that's why we need Rishonim. If we were to stop right here, we wouldn't know how to paskin on such a shaila. 5 lines down on the top of Tzadi Aleph Amud Beis. Says the Gemara, quoting our Mishnah from earlier, if you'll recall, we said that if a person finds something worth saving in their house, then the shear of Isser for carrying it out is a kolshu, even a tiny shear, very small amount. However, once it's already out of your house and you violate Isser, what about bringing it back? So there the Mishnah said, and that's the line we're quoting here, so if you bring it back in, you're going to be chayiv according to the shear of grogeris, like the regular shirim that we typically use for Shabbos. Says Gemara Pshita, Pasha, obviously that should be the case. No. The reason why the Mishnah had to teach us this din was because of the following Yokimta, because we established the Mishnah having been involved in the following case, Kegon, Shezarako la'otzar, that you threw that thing from outside to inside into an otzar, into a storage house. Umekomo nikar, and it's obvious where it is that the item was dropped. Mahu detema, what might you have thought? You might have thought that because I know where it is, because I know where the item is, so therefore it goes back to its initial din of kol shehu, like we started, like when you took out the item. Says the Gemara, kamash malan midizarke leotzar betule batle, that because of the fact that you threw it back into the otzar, it showed that you really weren't so interested in that item, and therefore it falls back on the classical shiurim of kigrogeris, and no longer like the more machmir shita of a kol shehu. Very good. That brings us to the next Mishnah. This Mishnah is going to deal with two sugyas, one of which we've seen in this Masech about an iskupa, which was basically kind of like something on a platform on the front of your house, like a porch of some kind, which was kind of a middle ground. We'll have to figure out what it is. And the second sugya is a very lamdisha sugya in Shas, one that we'll get into a little bit tonight, all in the Gemara. No, we're not going off the page that much at all, but a very lamdisha idea that requires a little bit of cup, but not a difficult Gemara overarching. Says the Mishnah, 8, 9, 10 lines down, Tzadi Aleph Amud Beis. Hamotzi ochlin v'nosnan al ha'iskupa. A person takes food out of their house, a reshus hayachid, and they put it on an iskupa, they put it on their porch. Bein shechazar v'hotzion, either you yourself, then later come back. So your first step is out of your house onto the iskupa. Second step is you come back and bring it from the iskupa out to the reshus harabim. Or says the Mishnah, bein shehotzion acher, another person brings it out, pater. Why are you pater in such a case? After all, if you look at not the process, but the result, you went from Reshus HaYachid all the way to Reshus HaRabim with an item. Why aren't you chayiv in that case? It says the Mishnah gives its own svara, very uncommon that the Mishnah gives a reason. Because you broke up the malacha. Now here we can get into the language of Akira. I did the Akira in one phase, and the Hanacha was in a later phase. The Hanacha, putting it on the Iskupa, was a 0, because that obviously wasn't an Isur D'Oraisa. So we'd have to get into this sugya a little bit more. We'll see in the Gemara what's going on here with this Iskupa. But that's what the Gemara says, that if you break up the action of carrying something out from Reshus HaYachid to Reshus HaRabim by putting it down on an Iskupa and separating the first part of the act and the second part of the act, the din is that you're pater. Continues the Mishnah with another case, kupa shimalea peros. Let's say you have a basket and it's filled with fruit. V'nasna al iskupa hachitzona, and you put it on an outer iskupa, seemingly further out than the initial iskupa that our Mishnah spoke about. Afal pi shero peros mibachutz, even though most of the fruits are outside, pater, we're going to say that you're pater ad sheyote es kol hakupa. So here what we're talking about is something along the lines of this. Let's say that my Gemara is the iskupa, and this cup is hanging off the edge of the iskupa. Now my cup is in the Rishus Harabim, but the iskupa is my Gemara. So even though the majority of the cup is hanging off the edge, or the majority of the basket is hanging off the edge, says the Mishnah, you're putter until the whole thing is off and in the Rishus Harabim. What if there are items inside that actually are only on one side of the cup, the side that's off the edge of the iskupa and the Rishus Harabim? That is a big machlokes in the Gemara that we're going to focus on momentarily. So that's the case here in the Gemara. Just to review it one more time, if you put a basket of fruit on the edge of an outer iskupa such that what is beyond the iskupa is a Rishus Harabim, the din is that you're putter until the entire basket has been moved into the Rishus Harabim. Opens the Gemara. In the first part of our Mishnah, we said that a person who breaks up their actions into two, that they're putter. And we said that there was an iskupa in the middle. What is the status of that iskupa? Hi iskupa mai. What's going on with that? Ilema, if you want to say iskupa Rishus Harabim, if you want to say that iskupa that you put it on in the first place was a Rishus Harabim, then putter. How can the Mishnah say you're putter in that case? That doesn't make any sense at all. Hakam mabig me Rishus Hayachid, the Rishus Harabim. If the iskupa is a Rishus Harabim, you took it out of your front door, you dropped it in Rishus Harabim, that's mamish nisar daraisa. That's your prototype. That's exactly how you violate the isser of transferring rishuyos. That can't be it. Ella, maybe that it's iskupa Rishus Hayachid. So it says the Gemara, if it's an iskupa that is a Rishus Hayachid, so then granted, when you took it out of your house and put it on the iskupa, which was another Rishus Hayachid, you didn't violate an Isser D'Oraisa. But what did the Mishnah say? The Mishnah said, Bein shechazer v'hotzian, bein shehotzian acher pater, that either you or someone else who moves it from the iskupa, which we just recommended might be Rishus Hayachid, out into a Rishus Harabim. How can you say that's pater? Hakam mapik me Rishus Hayachid, the Rishus Harabim. That iskupa, if it's Rishus Hayachid, you can't transfer from there outwards. That's going to be a violation of the Isser of transferring Rishuyos. Ella, what must it be? Iskupa karmelis. It must be that the iskupa is a karmelis. And that's why now we could, of course, understand, and maybe our brains went here instantly when we heard the Mishnah that you're putter. Obviously, it's going to be the case that if you move it from a Rishus Hayachid to a karmelis, you're putter. That's an Isser D'Rabbanan. And if you then move it from a karmelis to a Rishus Harabim, you're also putter if they're done in separate maisas. We spoke about this earlier in the Masechta about being lekatef, adjusting something on your shoulder, or if your mom is stopping to take a break, whatever the case may be. We spoke about this already. And then the Gemara makes a very important line, one that's going to carry us for a few more lines. It says the Gemara as follows. Ela iskupa rekarmelis. We're dealing with an iskupa that's a karmelis. Kamash malan. What is the Mishnah coming to teach us? A very critical idea. Taima denach. The reason why you were putter was you were denach bekarmelis. It rested in the karmelis. However, halonach bekarmelis. If you had not put it down on the karmelis to start with, then mechayev. You would have been chayev in that case. If you would have walked from a Rishus Hayachid into a Rishus Harabim through a karmelis, that's a critical piece. It's not stam you're going through Rishuyos, but in front of your house you had a karmelis. So says the Gemara, the nafkamina in regards to the karmelis is whether or not you are nach, whether or not you rested the item during your transference, during your walk from the Rishus Hayachid through the karmelis. Let it rest. Good. Now you separated your maisas, then you'd be putter in that case. But if you walk straight through your chayiv, and because of this distinction, because of this kamash malan, that it's a question of whether or not you stopped in the karmelis, therefore the Gemara says about halfway down, masnisim delo ke ben azai. What does ben azai say? We've seen this Gemara earlier in the Masechta. The Tanya, the Brisa writes, Hamosi mechanus lapaltia derech stab chayiv. Tanakama holds that if a person carries from a private rishus to a public rishus through a karmelis, a stav is a karmelis, then you're chayiv. However, uben azai poter. Ben azai says that even if you walk without stopping, you walk from a rishus hayachid through a karmelis into a rishus harabim, Ben azai says you're putter. What did we just learn in our Mishnah? That the only time you're putter when you do that is when the item is nach, when it rests in the karmelis. But Ben azai says that's not true. You're going to be chayiv no matter what the case is. So therefore, Ben azai is not like our Mishnah. And that brings us to the second part of our Mishnah, which spoke about the basket. As mentioned, if there's a basket and it has fruit in it and it's hanging off the edge of that iskupa chitzona, implied in the Mishnah is that the line outside of that iskupa chitzona is Rishus Harabim land. So again, to use my Gemara, if this is the iskupa chitzona and this is Rishus Harabim, then what we're talking about is when your basket of fruit is mamish hanging off the edge like this. So what do we say about the food? Let's see what the Gemara has to say about this. And this is where we get into some of the lumdus of the early Amoraim. Halfway down. Kupa Shimalea, Amar Chizkiya. Lo Shanu. What is our Mishnah talking about? Lo Shanu Ella. Our Mishnah is only speaking about the following. But Kupa Malea Kishunu Diluin. The kupa, the basket has a lot of different things in it, and they're large things. It's got cucumbers, larger cucumbers. It's got diluin, gourds, pumpkins, very large items. However, aval, says Chizkiya, malei chardal, if it's filled with very tiny items, so then you're chayiv. Alma, what does the Gemara infer from the sheet of Chizkiya? Kasavar, eged kli lo shmei eged. That the fact that all of the items are in a basket, that doesn't make it into one entity if the items inside are small enough that when the basket's hanging off of the edge into the Rishus Harabim, that some of the items in this vertical space would in fact be in Rishus Harabim. So filled with tiny seeds hanging off the edge, because to my left there are plenty of very small seeds hanging off that edge. Granted, they're in a basket, but Chizkiya doesn't care about the eged. He doesn't care about the basket. Eged kli lo shmei eged. The fact that there's a basket that is harnessing everything, we don't care about that. We look a vertical line. Did you move any one item off the iskupa chitzona into the Rishus Harabim? So that's how Chizkiya teaches our Mishnah. That our Mishnah is not discussing a case of large vegetables. We're talking about a case of our Mishnah is talking about a case of large vegetables, and therefore you're putter, because until you move the whole basket, no one item, presumably, has been transferred out from the Rishus HaYachid, from the Iskupa Chitzona, into the Rishus Harabim. And that's the Shita of Chizkiya. In sharp contrast, for Rav Yochanan Amar, Afilu Malei Chardal Pater. Even if there were the tiniest of seeds that were inside that eged, inside that basket, inside the kupa, he says you're still going to be pater. That's very mechudash. What's the chiddush of Rav Yochanan? Alma, what do we see from Rav Yochanan? Kasavar, eged kli shmei eged. The basket changes be'etzem, what's happening inside the basket. Namely, if there were very small items inside the basket, and as I transfer the basket over the threshold of my iskupa chitzona, out of that very last section of the Rishus HaYachid Mideoraisa, and I move it into the Rishus Harabim, even though on the vertical line there are thousands of mustard seeds that are hanging off, we don't care. Rabbi Yochanan says that eged kli shmei eged be'etzem, it changes what's happening. And until the whole basket, he says our Mishnah is talking about chardal, the tiny seeds. That's really what Chizkiya and Rabbi Yochanan are arguing about. Chizkiya holds, what's our Mishnah talking about? Only large vegetables and fruits, that when you move the basket, it's not enough to bring them to, it's not, the basket is irrelevant. Only when the vegetable itself breaks the threshold, what would be a nafkamina? If the cucumbers were stacked vertically. So then that would be the same thing as the seeds, and Chizkiya would say that's Mr. Doraisa. Chizkiya is only makel, he's only lenient when it comes to a scenario where the vegetables and fruits are large enough. But Rav Yochanan says, no, eged klishmei eged. The basket changes what's happening inside there. And because it's true that there are small things in there, I don't care. I don't care until the full basket is moved off of the edge into the, in other words, all the small things are just parts of a whole. When the basket leaves that threshold into Rishus Harabim Daraisa, that's when you violate the Isur. But that's only true by, that was Chizkiya. Rav Yochanan would say that until the whole basket moves off, not the small pieces. The whole until the whole basket moves off, Rav Yochanan will say pater. Once the whole basket moves off, then Rav Yochanan will say chai. So let's continue. The Gemara is now going to analyze this, where two lines, the last two of the skinny lines of the Gemara, Tzadi Aleph and Aleph. The Mishnah is not exact in regards to the Shita of Chizkiya, and it's also not exact in regards to the Shita of Rav Yochanan. Like the opinion of Chizkiya, doesn't really work out, because what does our Mishnah say? What did we say about Chizkiya? That once any one small item breaks the threshold, irrelevant of the kupa, you're going to be chayiv. What did it say in our Mishnah? It's kol kupa. That's Rabbi Yochanan. So how does that doesn't work? Taima the kol kupa hakola peiros pater. Alma. It seems from our Mishnah, kasavar eged klishme eged. That line of the Mishnah seems to imply that it all depends on getting the whole basket past the threshold, which is not like the sheet of Chizkiya. However, Rav Yochanan lo deka, it also doesn't work according to Rav Yochanan, because dekatani, what does our Mishnah say? Our Mishnah teaches afal pisha rov peiros bachutz. Time of the rov peros, hakola peros afalgav de agida, kupa migavoy chayiv, alma kasavar eged kli, lo shmei eged. Basically, according to both shitas, there are lines in our Mishnah that don't work. So how do we know what to do? And in fact, the Gemara takes this up a notch and says, wait a minute. By virtue of the fact that you have two different lines in our Mishnah, which have opposite implications, that means we have a contradiction in our Mishnah. It means that our Mishnah doesn't make sense. One line seems to imply like Rav Yochanan, which is against Chizkiah, and one line seems to be like Chizkiah against Rav Yochanan. So which one is it? Does our Mishnah hold that the basket changes what's happening, like Rav Yochanan says, or does our Mishnah not care about the basket klal uchlal? We look at the vertical axis and we say whatever passes the line, a lot relevant to what's in the basket, like the sheet of Chizkiah. So says the Gemara, let's dig into it. Velakashia, we're 4 lines down in the wider line, Sadi Aleph and Aleph. Chizkiah matar time, Rav Yochanan matar time. Both of them answer up as follows. Chizkiah matar time. How does Chizkiah answer pshat? What does it mean when the Mishnah says that shiotze is kula kupa b'med dvarim amurim? What does that mean? The kupa malei kishunu dluin, like he already gave the distinction earlier. Aval malei chardal. It depends what's in the basket. When does the whole basket have to leave the threshold into a reshus harabim to be chayiv? That's if you have large vegetables in there. But if it were to be the fact that it's malek shuna deluya, if it was malek chardal, nasek mishotzi, it's kol akupa, then it would be as if the whole basket was taken out v'chayiv. So he gave pshat like we already learned pshat. That's how he would answer up our Mishnah. Rav Yochanan metar tzatayme, almost at the bottom, 10 lines from the bottom. But Rav Yochanan metar tzatayme, af al pi sherov peros bachutz. Even though most of the fruits were out, below rov peros bilvad el afilu kol peros patrat sheyotze es kol akupa. So he gives the same exact thing. It just depends on what's going on inside the basket, and until the whole basket is out, no dice. So that's how Rav Yochanan holds, and they both are able to explain the Mishnah according to their own shitas. And again, to summarize, because we're going to be dealing with this for a few more lines, Chizkiah was of the opinion that the basket is irrelevant. We only look at how many actual fruits and vegetables cross the threshold into a reshus harabim. And Rav Yochanan was of the opinion that it's going to be pater until the whole basket comes out, no matter what's in the basket. Meisive, we have to ask a kasha. Hamotzi kupas rochlin v'nasna ali skupa chitzona afabisha rov minin bachutz pater ashiyoti es kol kupa. What do we see? We see another marim makom, another source in the Tanaim that contradicts the shita of Chizkiah, because what do we see here? That the whole kupa has to leave. Yet Chizkiah said the basket's irrelevant. The kupa is irrelevant. We only care about what's in the kupa. So how does this work out according to him? And kasal kadaitach b'tzrari. The havamin is that we're talking about small things. Says Gemara, kashi l'Chizkiah. Amar l'Chizkiah. How would he answer the sacha? But my askina, but earnestly, we're talking about things, these types of spices that were kind of longer. If you can imagine, if you've ever seen cinnamon that is uncut, it's unground, I should say. It's in these longer, kind of looks like rolled parchment a little bit. Imagine much longer stalks. That's what's in the basket. So Chizkiah is going to give a new kimta. In that case, where we see that it's kol akupa, it's like the kishunu deluin. So we just say that it's talking about spices that are wrapped up very long. They're not ground up yet. But that's how he would answer that up. And that was the first question that we asked and answered. Says Gemara, 5 lines from the bottom. Masiv Rabbi bar Rabbi. This is a famous Shas case. It's found in Maseches Ksubis and found in other places as well. In Baba Basra, Sanhedrin, and Ksubis. I learned it first in Maseches Ksubis, a Gavaldik Alamdasha case. Hagonev Kis B'Shabbos. Before we speak about this case, just to introduce one principle, we have a halachic principle called Kamle B'Derabba Mineh, that when a person does an action that has 2 isurim at one time, we only give him the greater of the 2 consequences, and we dissolve the lower of the 2 consequences. So if I were to violate the Isser of Chil Shabbos and Geneva at the same time, so because Shabbos has a greater onesh, I'd get the onesh of Shabbos, and we would dissolve the onesh of Geneva. That's a basic principle found throughout just Kamle B'Derabba Mineh, that we always punish with the greater of the 2 punishments when 2 things coincide in one moment. So let's take a look at this Gemara, 5, 6 lines from the bottom. Masiv Rabbi bar Rabbi. Rabbi asks the following question: Hagoned kis b'Shabbos chayev. When a person is someone is going to steal something from your house, the moment they pick it up, they made a kinyan. So you're chayev on the Geneva. Why are you chayev on the Geneva and separately on Shabbos? Shekvar nischayev b'Geneva kodem shavli de'eser Shabbos. When do we say Kamle B'Derabba Mineh? When the 2 isurim coincide? But here they don't coincide. I lifted something up in your house, chiyuv number 1. Then I leave your front door into the reshus harabim, chiyuv number 2. And because the two moments, the two Isurim are not the same moment, so therefore the Isurim are checked off separately. And there's no Kamle B'Derabba, there's no trump card. And the Isur is going to be double. You have a Chiyuv for Geneva, and you have a Chiyuv for Shabbos. However, that's only true when you pick up an item. What if you're being megarer? What if you're dragging the item? You can't even pick it up. You're rolling something heavy out of the house. You're dragging a large TV out of the house. You don't pick it up. You drag it out. So there, the Mashiach, the pulling of the item, doesn't become yours until you break the threshold of the home. But that's the same moment when you violate Shabbos. So here we have a case where you have two Isurim. The Geneva box is checked off when you break the threshold. But that's the same moment when the Shabbos, when the Isur of Shabbos of transferring your Shuyos is also checked off. So it says the Gemara as follows: Hey, Megarer v'yotze, then you're putter. Then there's no chiyuv of Geneva in that case. Why? Shahara Isur Geneva v'Isur Shabbos bain ke'echad, because the Isur of Geneva and the Isur of Shabbos happen at the same time. Namely, when you complete the dragging process of that television out of the Rishus HaYachid into Rishus HaRabim, that's when it becomes yours. That's when you do violate the Isur of Geneva. As well, that's when you violate the Isur of Shabbos. Then you only get the Chiyuv Skila, but you don't then get the Isur of Geneva. Someone is asking a question: don't you have to put it down in a Rishus HaRabim to complete the Isur Shabbos? That's only true. Good question. Where's the Akira and Hanacha? That's true, but here it's different because you're being megarer, you're dragging it. So there it's different. It's just a transfer of Rishuyos. It's a little different. It breaks the normal rules. It's a great question. It does break the normal rules of Akira and Hanacha. But the truth is that even within those rules, one could argue that when you're dragging, the Akira is when you started moving it in the Rishus HaYachid before you stole it, and the Hanacha is when you stop moving it, another possibility. L'may nafkamina, if you roll a ball, you kick it from the inside of your house and it goes out your door into Rishus HaRabim, Isser Daraisa, Akira, Hanacha. Or, again, the Lamdas could be that there's no need for Akira and Hanacha. Nevertheless, that's what the Gemara says in this case, that the 3 lines from the bottom, that the Isser Gneva, this line is very important in Lamdas, Isser Gneva, Isser Shabbos Bain Ke'echad. So says the Gemara, Visal Kadaitach, Eged Kli Shmei Eged. What a Gevaldika question. If you're going to tell me that Eged Kli is Shmei Eged, that when part of the basket, only when part of the basket comes out, if you say, says the Gemara, Visal Kadaitach, Eged Kli Shmei Eged, Kadim Isser Gneva Isser Shabbos, then really they're not two Isurim that are Bain Ke'echad. You didn't violate them at the same time. Because, why? If Eged Kli is Shmei Eged, then the Isur of Geneva happened first. Says the Gemara, I can answer you up on that one, no problem. Ide Afke Derech Piv, if you're dragging a bag that's filled with coins, and the opening of the bag breaks the threshold, so I can stick my hand in the bag and take what I want. Right? Because the opening of the bag is outside the threshold. Ida afke derech piv hachanami, I agree with you. But hacha b'maya skinan, what are we talking about in our case? The afke derech shulav, the bag is switched, where the end of the bag is outside, and the inside of the bag, the opening of the bag is inside, so you can't reach in. So then in that case, yes, you'd have to bring everything out, and then that would be a different case. It says Gemara, what about the stitching line? If I'm a ganav, I'm not makbid on Hilchos Shabbos, I'll violate the Isser of tearing open. So I'm going to tear open the bag if it's an Isser. Korea is not always an Isser, but if I tear it open, I can reach in and take the coins. It says Gemara, there's the stitching line. Turning to the top of Tzadi Beis and Aleph, says Gemara, the boyim mafkale the shakil. I could just tear it open and no problem. I can take out all the coins that are on my side of the fence. So maybe again we're back to where we started. Answers the Gemara, no, the case is not the right case. It's binascha. We're talking about large silver bars, and those large silver bars traverse the whole line. And in that case, you haven't done the Isser yet, and therefore we're not yet in a place where you violated Shabbos or Geneva. It says the Gemara, hold on one second. The kevan the ika shenatzin. Shenatzin is like a drawstring. The kevan the ika shenatzin mapik lead pume v'shari v'shakil. I could just open up the drawstrings and take what I want. V'shnatzin agidei migavoin. And the strings of the drawstrings will be all the way. The strings could be long. They could all be all the way back into the house, and maybe I haven't really done enough yet to take the whole bag out. So the Gemara here gives two different answers. The first answer is the leika shnatzin, there are no drawstrings. That there really are drawstrings, and they are just wrapped around. So basically, Chizkiah and Rav Yochanan are each safe in their shitas thus far. Chizkiah holding that we don't care about the kupa is irrelevant, eged kli lav shmei eged, and yet the Shita of Rabbi Yochanan argues that eged kli shmei eged, that the basket is a critical part here, and until the whole basket comes out, no matter what's in it, even if it has very small parts in it, you are going to be patur. Says the Gemara, V'chein Omar Rabba and Abaye seemingly had the same exact machlokas of Chizkiah, and Rav Yochanan. V'chein Omar Rabba lo shanu el b'kupa malei kishunu dilun, just like Chizkiah, aval malei achard al chayiv al makosaver eged kli lo shmei eged. Here we see that Rabba is just like the shita of Chizkiah. Abaye Amar afilu malei achard al patur, just like Rav Yochanan. What does he hold? Al makosaver eged kli shmei eged. Perfect. And yet after they held these shitas, where Rava perfectly matched up with Chizkiah, and Abaye perfectly matched up with Rabbi Yochanan, they switched shitas. Let's see what the Gemara says. Kam Abaye b'shitse de Rava, kam Rava b'shitse de Abaye. They switched shitas. They're like, actually, I agree with you. And they're like, you know what? I think your initial opinion was right. So Abaye and Rava switched. So now Rava is no longer like Chizkiah, but he's like Rabbi Yochanan. And Abaye is no longer like Rabbi Yochanan, but he's like Chizkiah. It says the Gemara, if that's true, that leads to a problem. Says the Gemara, "V'rami de Abaye ade Abaye, v'rami de Rava de Rava," and we have a machlokas, as we're going to see right now, where it doesn't really work according to their shitas. The itmar hamotzi peres l'rishus harabim. If a person takes out fruit into a rishus harabim, Abaye Omar v'yad chayev b'kli pater. Abaye says in a kli that you are going to be pater, but we just said that Abaye now holds like Chizkiah, and Chizkiah said that I don't care about the kli. So seemingly Abaye is now violating his own shita. The Rava Amar biyad pater b'kli chayev, and Rava said that if you did it with your biyadayim, you carried out with your hands, you're going to be pater. But if you did it b'kli, you're going to be chayev, and that doesn't work with his shita either, because he flipped now to hold like the shita of Rav Yochanan, who says that you're pater. The answer is the Gemara epoch. You need to switch to shita, as this case was quoted wrong. I would have thought there was another answer. I mean, historically, I thought the obvious answer would have been that this was before they changed their minds. But the Gemara doesn't say that. I don't know why. I didn't see Rishonim that speak about it. I didn't look it up. But I would have thought that would have been a pretty simple answer to be presented. But it's not. The Gemara says more simply that we should switch their shitas. 4 lines before the Mishnah, Tzadi Beis Amud Aleph. Says the Gemara, wait a minute. Biyad chayev. If you carry something out with your hand, you go over the threshold barehanded. You're going to carry something out, you're chayev. Why are you chayev? That's not. Go back to Daf Beis Amud Aleph. We go back 92 blot. What did we learn? 90 blot, whatever it is. Pashad Bal Habayis says Yado Lachutz V'Notza La'ani Mitocha. We said that if the person inside the house extends his hand past the threshold to the poor person, oh Shanasan Latocha V'Hichnis Shneim Turin. Why over there were they pater? Both Abaye and Rava in this statement of the Amoraim both indicated that biyad you're chayev. Answers the Gemara, Hasam lamala migimel hacha lamata migimel. Depends. Over there they were above 3, and over here you're below 3. So it depends. If you're so close to the ground, it's as if you did the hanacha. So that's how the Gemara answers this question. This brings us to the next Mishnah. This Mishnah is going to speak about normal and abnormal ways to carry things out of a house. About 1/3 of the way down, Tzadi Beis Amud Aleph. I'm going to try to pick up the pace a little bit. This first blot was a little bit longer. Hamotzi, a person who takes something out, bein biyamino, bein bismolo, either hand, even if it's your weaker hand, besocheko, something grasped against your chest, o al kseifa, something carried on your shoulder. All of those are chayev, shekein masav b'nei kahas. All of those are going to be chayev because that's how the b'nei kahas carried, as we will soon see in the Gemara. What if you carried something kilachar yad in a weird way? Kilachar yado, beraglo, something you carry with your foot, which is not normal. Befiv, something in your mouth, obviously not gum and those kinds of things. Things that are abnormal to carry in your mouth. Bemarpeko, with your elbow. Beozno, hanging on your ear, obviously not jewelry. Ubesaru, in your hair, obviously not hair accoutrements. Ubepundaso, shepi halamata, upi halamata. If it's like a money clip of some kind, like a money bag, like a purse, but it's upside down, that's not a normal way to carry things. Bein pudaso lechaluko, between your money belt and your shirt. Uvisfas chaluko, on the hem of your clothing. Bimin alo, you stuff something into your shoe. Bisandalo, and your sandal. Putter. This is a loophole. If a person has to carry on Shabbos and we're stuck, we have no choice but to carry, we should try to find a weird way to carry to minimize the status of our Isser. Of course, in an emergency, we don't waste time. Emergency life comes first, but if you have the capacity and the brain space to tell the difference, you should try to find one of the suggestions of this Mishnah to carry in such a way when you are not violating an Isser. Gemara, halfway down. Amar Rav Elazar, Hamotzi Masui Lamala Me'asar Tvachim Chayev. If a person carries something above 10 Tvachim, they are Chayev. Wait a minute. We learned in our Masechta that above 10 Tvachim is a Makom Ptur. So Rashi here deals with that. It depends. When you're talking about throwing, take a look at Rashi. The first one on the Gemara, Dibra Maschal Motzi Masui Lamala Miyud, Ma'avira Ba'aver Biyado Ve'enu Al Ksefo. You're carrying it in your hand and not on your shoulder. V'gavo Amin Ha'aretz Asara Kamar. The B'munach Al Ksefo Masnisani. You're carrying it on your shoulder. Pashat that's Asar. That we know. It's not I. Wait a minute. We're going to learn, and we saw quoted earlier in the Mishnah, Hazorek Dalad Amos Bakosel. A person who throws against the wall, a malami asar, kazorik ba'avir, alma ein la malami asar rishus harabim. Says the Gemara, dafka zor. This is like a Tosfos type of Rashi. Says the Gemara, dafka zorek. No, only by throwing do we have above 10 tefachim as a kula. But when you're carrying above 10 tefachim, that does not work. Aval mavir chayiv the yalif mibnei kahas b'mishkan. So our Mishnah, our Gemara opens up by pointing out in the name of Rabbi Lazar that above 10 tefachim is going to still be problematic. How do we know that 10 tefachim is a problematic space? Says the Gemara, Shekain Masa b'nei Kahasu, Masa b'nei Kahas Minalan. How do we know that they carried above 10 tefachim? Apparently they carried way above 10 tefachim. Let's see how this is the case. Says the Gemara, the Torah writes, Al HaMishkan v'al HaMizbech Saviv, with the Mishkan and the Mizbech around them. Makish Mizbech LeMishkan. Ma Mishkan Yud Amos. Listen carefully. This is important. The Mishkan itself was 10 Amos. Af Mizbech Yud Amos. We know that too. Those two items, the Mishkan and the Mizbech, were 10 Amos. 10 Amos is 15 feet tall. That's very tall. Mishkan Gufe Minalan. How do we know about the Mishkan, how tall it is? Because Dichsiv Eser Amos Orcha Karesh, that it was 10 Amos in length. Uchsiv Vayifros Esa Ohel Ala Mishkan, and Moshe covered the Ohel. He covered it with something. V'amarav Moshe Rabbeinu Parso, he was the one who covered it. Mikana Talame Govan Shalavim. We knew that that Moshe himself was 10 amos tall because he was able. The Gemara here writes, the Rishonim here write that this is an assumption. If Moshe was able to drape something over over this item, he must have been at least 10 amos tall. So that's how we know. Mikana Talame Govan Shalavim Eser Amos. Ugmira. We have a tradition. The chol tuna, whenever anybody carries anything, whenever anybody carried these things, I should say, to midlay the motos, they were carrying them on poles, but listen to how it was broken down, the carrying. Til samila el, 1/3 of the 10 amma thing they were carrying, the Mishkan, 1/3 of that, so let's call it 3 1/3 amos, tilsa, the chol tuna, the midlay the til samila el, betray til samila tachas. 1/3 was above the shoulder, and 2/3 were below, and 2/3 were above. The 2/3 of the amount were below. So 6 2/3 of the amount of the mizbech was hanging below of the 10 amos from their shoulders. We assume that people are 10 amos tall, so therefore we still have a whole bunch of amos left before they hit the ground. If they're 10 amos tall and there's 2/3 of the ammo that was that was being carried from the top of their head, so then there's 3 1/3 ammo left before the ground. And we see that it's an Isser Doraisa above 10 Tvachim. So we see that there's an Isser Doraisa by carrying these things. Ishtakach, what do we see? To have a Madle Tuva. They were carrying well over 10 Tvachim over the ground, and they were still Chayiv. The Baisema, the Gemara presents a second answer, one that's questionable as to why we're presenting it in the first place. The Baisema me Aron. To Amar Mar, we learned Aron Tisha V'Kaporas Tefach, a Gemara that's quoted, I believe in Bava Kama. Where does it say here? I forgot which one it is. Doesn't say it. Gemara will learn in Sukkah on Daf Dal, right? Sukkah on Daf Dalet. The Marmar, the Aron was 9 Tvachim, and the Kaporos on top was 1 Tevach, a total of 10 Harei Kan Yud Ukmiri. We have a tradition, the Chol Tuna, although quoted in a slightly different language here, that when you're carrying something, the midle b'motos, when it's carried on poles, til sami la'el betray til sami la'ra, 1/3 above, 2/3 below. Ishtakach, what do we find? That when people are 10 amos tall, and they're carrying something 10 amos, and 2/3 of it are below, so they're 10 amos, 6 2/3 are being below the pole, which was at their head. So there's still another 3 1/3 left above the ground. The second marimakom de lamala miyud habakoy. So says the Gemara, why bother bringing 2 marimakomos? Just learn from the first one that Moshe was 10 amos tall. The lig mari Moshe. Answers the Gemara, you can't. Dilma Moshe shiny. Maybe Moshe was really taller than the average Levi. Not every Levi in the world was exactly 10 amos tall. That would be one way to tell who's who. You look down the street, he's 10 amos tall. He's got to be a Levi. Says the Gemara, you can't always assume that about people. Maybe Dilma Moshe Shai. We're about 10 lines from the bottom. Tzadi Beis Amud Aleph. To Amar Mar Ein Ashchina Shora. The only time the Shechina ever rests on a person, Ela Al Chacham. You have to be wise. Gibor, you have to be strong. V'asher, you have to be wealthy. Ubal koma, you have to be very tall. So maybe the fact that that Moshe was a Baal Koma and he was the person who Hashem spoke to, maybe from there we know that he's tall, but not everybody's as tall as Moshe. So therefore we needed the second Mari Makom to ensure that we would not make the error of assuming that anything less than 10 amos here, because we had to make sure that we stayed above 10 tefachim from the ground. That was the whole argument that we were talking about. So the Meforshim point out that if someone was only 7 amos tall, this whole argument falls away. Because 7 amos, if you carry something that's 10 amos tall and 2/3 of it is below your height and you're 10 amos tall and you're 7 amos tall, so then there's 6 2/3 below your height, you have only 1/3 of an amma left. And that would violate our idea that it has to be at least 10 tefachim tall. 10 lines from the bottom. Amar Rav Mishum Rabbi Chia Hamotzi Masui b'Shabbos al Rosho Chayiv Chata Shekenan Shehutzal Osin King. If a person carries something on their head, we've seen this in the movies. In some countries, people will rest a cloth on their head and then carry a heavy basket on top of their head. Says the Gemara in the name of Rav, in the name of Rabbi Chia, that you'd be chayiv in such a case because of Anshe Hutzal. Says the Gemara of Anshe Hutzal Ruba de Alma. That's one place that people carry things on their head. Nobody that we know carries things on their head normally. That's not normal. We carry them on our shoulders, however we carry them, in a backpack. It's not normal to carry something on your head. So we reject that idea. Elai itmar, if there is a statement of Rav quoting Rav Chia, hachi itmar. Amar Rav Mishum Rav Chia, echad mibnei Hutzal shehotzi masu al roshu b'Shabbos chayiv shkem b'nei iro osin kain. If one guy from Hutzal were to be in Chicago and he carried something on his head, of course he's going to be chayiv. You're not allowed to carry that way because you in your home country, that's how people carry things. Says Gemara, why? That we don't make exceptions like that. We have general rules. V'tibatel daito etzel kol adam. When you're one guy who carries things in a weird way, look at our Mishnah. If you carry something kilachar yad, you're putter. You carry something on your head because one country carries that way. That's ridiculous. So the one guy moves to Chicago, he carries something on his head because he's from Hutzal, so therefore he's chayiv. No way. There should be batla daito etzel kol adam. Says the Gemara, 2 lines from the bottom. Eli itmar hachi itmar. If you're going to say pshat in Rav Chia, in Rav, in the name of Rav Chia, say the following. Last line. Hamosi masuya rosho. A person who's going to carry something on top of their head. Putter. Change the din entirely. You got the whole quote wrong. Why are they putter? Because that's not a normal way to carry. Maybe you'll argue that Anshe Hutzal used to carry things on their head. Says the Gemara, but ladai to etzel kol adam. In other words, this Gemara is critical to look back at our Mishnah and say, what's the threshold between normal carrying and abnormal carrying? People don't carry things in their mouths. It's not normal. In fact, people who get trained for Hatzalah, especially in New York, where there's a big shayla, they're allowed to have an Eruv there, even here, but more there. The Hatzalah members are trained to carry their keys in their mouth. That's mamish the Mishnah, Tzadi Beis, because they have to make sure that they're limiting the Yisurim that they do. So in an emergency, again, we don't think, we act. But if you have the time to think, we try to minimize Yisurim. So this Mishnah about Hutzal is critical. This Gemara about Hutzal is critical. How do we define normal? If you're one yachid, you always carry things in your teeth, that's weird. That's not normal halachically. So we don't ever measure against that. And therefore you'd be patur in such a case. And that's the appropriate way to quote this Gemara. One more Mishnah to take us to the next Mishnah. And let us continue. We're at the 44-minute mark here. So let's try to get close to the 50-minute mark. You're trying to carry something in front of you, but the bag falls behind you. What do? What's halacha? Putter. Let's say you're carrying a bag in front, but it just shifts its weight as you're moving, as you transfer out. The din is that you're putter. Le'acharav, if you have the bag behind you, uvalo lefanav, and then the bag swings in front of you, chayiv. Be'emes amru. What does it mean? Be'emes amru. We'll see in the Gemara toward the end of the day today. Be'emes amru. Really, what are we teaching? Haisha hachogeres besinar. A woman who's holding something. This would be equivalent to it's basically a garment that Rashi points out is a garment that a woman would wear for modesty, to make sure that if ever her outer skirt would be revealed, she'd still be modest. It could be a slip. It could be a secondary type of skirt, something to make sure that she would not be revealed. So under those circumstances, if she would carry something there, whether or not it would swing to the front or swing to the back doesn't make a difference. She'd be chayebes. It swings around. It's not like a pair of shorts. It's like a garment that could flip back to front. Sometimes when a woman's wearing a skirt, slowly but surely the skirt can swivel throughout the day. So therefore, that you'd be chayev no matter what. And then the Gemara adds in, Rabbi Yehuda Omer af makable psakin. A petek in Hebrew is a note. These are letter carriers. It's the mailman. And look around our neighborhoods. They sometimes have the rolling thing. Sometimes they carry a bag. They carry it behind them. And sometimes it can swing as they lean forward. It can swing forward. That's mamish our Mishnah. Says Rabbi Yehuda, that's normal. And therefore, af makable psakin, front, back doesn't make a difference. They're going to be chayev if they transfer rishus that way. If they were Jewish and had chiyuvim. Says the Gemara 8 lines from the top. If it was supposed to be in front of you and it fell behind you, the putter there, that you didn't get done what you wanted to get done. You're carrying it a different way than you intended. And at the same time that that's true, the Mishnah split and said, Nami, we should have said there that you're putter too. Why did you distinguish between the bag that falls from the back of your shoulder to the front and front to back, where one's putter and one's chayiv? Answers the Gemara, brilliant. Amar Rabbi Lazar, Tavra. The Mishnah is broken. Misha shanazu lo shanazu. It can't be that these two parts of the Mishnah were written by the same person. So it says Gemara, why? Amar Rabbi, my kushya. I could easily come up with a distinction where you're carrying it in the back and it falls to the front that you should be chayiv, and vice versa, you're not. How so? Says the Gemara, my kushya. Dilma lefana v'vala la'acharav. Hainu taima. The reason over there why we say that you're putter, the putter, then he's kaving the shmira ma'ula, but also biyado shmira pechusa. You're carrying it in front of you, I can see the bag. It fell behind you, I can't see the bag. So when the bag's in front of me, I have better shmira. It fell behind me, it's a worse shmira, so I'm putter. However, le'acharav uvalo lefana, 1/3 of the way down, if the bag meant to be behind you, but it fell in front of you when your weight shifted, the reason why you're chayiv there, says Rabbi, is diniskavin the shmira pechusa, because initially in your mind, I had less of a shmira. The bag's behind me. I can be pickpocketed very easily. But also biyado shmira me'ula, by the bag, but now that it's in front of me, so now maybe I have a better shmira. So therefore the Mishnah made a distinction. Why do you have to say Tavra, that the Mishnah is broken, says Rabbi? I can easily come up with a real answer. It's crazy. Don't blow up the whole Mishnah because you can't come up with a svar. Rabbi's got a good one. So then says the Gemara, Elamai kushya, really, what's the real problem? Elamai kushya, diuka demasnisim kashya. The difficulty of our Mishnah is inferences within our Mishnah. That is broken, and let's see how. Says the Gemara, hamiskabin lahotzi lefanav ubalo la'acharav. The Mishnah said that if you have intention to carry it before you, in front of you, and it fell behind you, we said that it's putter. What's the diuk? Here's going to be part A of the problem. The implication from that line is if you carry it behind you and then it ends up staying behind you, that you're going to be chayiv. However, a Maseifa later in the Mishnah, it says it says that if it's supposed to, the bag is supposed to start behind you and then it ends up in front of you, that you're chayiv. What's the diuk there? Part B, and here's the conflict. Putter. The problem is that with two different parts of the Mishnah, that the case of where it starts la'acharav and ends up la'acharav, that one says chayev, one says pater, both on the inference level. It's not explicit. So therefore we have a contradiction. What are you supposed to do? The inferences don't match each other. One says chayev, one says pater. Says the Gemara, Amar Rabbi Lazar, Tavra. There the Mishnah is broken because the two parts of the inferences of the Mishnah, first and second, don't match. Part A and part B don't work. One says la'acharav when it starts and la'acharav when it finishes is pater, and the other says it's chayev. So says the Gemara, Misha shanazu, lo shanazu. It can't be that they're the same people. Amar Rav Ashi, I really don't hear your question. I could answer that up too. My kushya, dilma lomi baya ka'amar. Maybe what was going on in our Mishnah was a lomi baya, and really your inferences aren't even right. Here's the lomi baya that we could have been learning. Lomi baya la'acharav uvalo la'acharav. Obviously, in that case where your intention was to carry the bag behind you and it stayed behind you the whole time, that you're going to be chayav. That's pasha. Why? Di'is avida machshavto. Because what you wanted is what happened. The bag started behind you and ended behind you. So you did exactly what you wanted. Ella, this is lomi baya that. Ella afilu la'acharav uvalo lefanav. Even if it started behind you and ended in front of you, there, Isrichale, I'm going to tell you, needed that. You might have thought that because your ratzon was that it should be la'acharav, but it ended up being lefanav, lo lechayev. Kamash Malan says Gemara, you would be chayev in that case. Then he's kavin the shmir b'chusa, but also biyado shmir me'ula dechayev. But because it shifted to the front and now I can see the bag, that's a much better shmira. No pickpocketing in front of me. So therefore, Lomi, but I don't need you to tell me the case of I did what I wanted to. Pasha, that's chayev. But even that's a chiddush here, that even in that case where it goes from back to front, now I can see the bag. I have better shmir, so you're going to be chayev. And maybe, says the Gemara, another extension of this is maybe really the Gemara says that what the Gemara was suggesting was the broken part of our Mishnah, was that la'acharav and la'acharav, where there was a machlokas and diyukim, maybe that's a machlokas tanoim. How so? Says the Gemara Tanoi, the Tanya, Hamotzi maos bepundasa upil lamala. A person who carries out a money bag with the opening facing upward, normal, chayev. However, pia lamata, what if the opening was facing downwards and with a drawstring so that nothing falls out? There, Rabbi Yehuda Machai v'Chachamim potrim. Machlokes tanoim. Within the brisa, here's the conversation. Amar len Rabbi Yehuda. Now remember, what was our case? Just whether or not if the face of the bag, if the opening of the bag is facing down, that was our machlokes. So it says Rabbi Yehuda. Amar len Rabbi Yehuda to the Chachamim. Iatem modim. Do you admit to me bela'acharav uvalo la'acharav shu chayev? Don't you agree that in an iteration of our case of the bag facing downward, that if it was started in our back and it stayed in our back, that you're going to be chayev? And they said back to him, but Amrlo, the Chachamim said back to Rabbi Yehuda, V'yata modeh, don't you admit? Kila'achar yad of a raglo shu pater? Don't you agree with a different iteration of the case? It should be pater. Says the Gemara, again, still part of the Brisa. Amr Rabbi Yehuda, this is amazing. We're kind of getting into Rabbi Yehuda's head here. Ani amarti davar echad, ve'hein amru davar echad. We both said one argument. Ani lo matzasi tshuva ledivrei, and they didn't find an answer to me. Ve'ani ve'hein lo matzu tshuva lidvarai, and they didn't find an answer to me. So it says the Gemara as follows, making inferences on this Brisa. Midika amar lehu, when Rabbi Yehuda said to them, to the Chachamim, iatem modim, don't you agree that la'acharav and la'acharav, where you started with the bag on your back and ended with the bag on your back, lav mechlal de patre rabbanan, doesn't that imply that the Chachamim argued with Rabbi Yehuda? Like, if you say to someone, wouldn't you at least agree to me that if the bag starts on the back and ends on the back, you'd be chayav? That implies Rabbi Yehuda thought the rabbanan said pater in such a case. Ulatamech, says the Gemara, pushing back. Wait a minute. Ulatamech, according to your argument, deka amre le. When the rabbanan said to Rabbi Yehuda, Iata modeh, when they said to him, don't you agree in the case of kila'achar yad that it's chayav? That implies mechlal de mechayev Rabbi Yehuda. That implies Rabbi Yehuda would have been mechayev in the case of kila'achar yad, carrying something in a backhanded way. That cannot be. V'hatanya, the Brisa writes, second of the widest lines. La'achar yad of raglo divrei kol pater. It can't be. It can't be that Rabbi Yehuda would say that, because we have an explicit brisa that says kila'achar yad is pater. Therefore, and this is a very clean summary of a very nuanced Gemara. So if this has been a little cloudy, just follow the next 5 lines until the Mishnah, really next 3 lines, and then you'll understand this clearly. Ella, here is Pshat. This is the summary of the last 30 lines. Ella, la'acharav ubalo la'acharav. If the bag started on your back, you're the mailman, you're carrying it weighted to your back, and it stays there. Everyone agrees. Divrei akol chayev. Everyone agrees that you're chayev. Third of the widest lines. La'achar yado, carrying a kila'achar yad. V'raglo divrei akol pater. Everyone agrees in that case that you're going to be pater. Those are the clear cases. They're the ends of the bell curve. Everyone agrees. So keep pligi? Where's the machlokes? Bepundaso pialamata. When you're carrying a money bag that's upside down. Mar medami le la'achorav. One compares it to the case of starting on your back and ending on your back, and he's mechayev, and therefore he's going to say chayev. Umar medamilo, one compares it leila achar yado viraglo. So the Gemara ends cleanly. Again, a very little bit of a nuanced back and forth, but that's how the Gemara concludes that everyone agrees that if the bag starts on your back and ends on your back, you're going to be chayev. Everyone agrees if you do something kil achar yad that you're going to be pater. The middle of the road case that we don't know is if you carry a bag out upside down. That we don't know. Does that need to be compared to the case of the mailman with the bag on the back starting and ending? Or no, is it like the case of kila'achar yad because it's weird to carry bags upside down? We don't know. That's a hard question to answer. And that's where the machlokes is. Last 2 lines for the night. Be'emes amru ha'isha, says the Gemara Tana, kol be'emes halachahi. Whenever a Mishnah says be'emes, it is the halacha. Okay. Rabbi Yehuda Omer af mekable psakim, people who are letter carriers, says the Gemara Tana, shekain lav levare malchus osin kain. Why is it by the Makable Psakin that we said that in the name of Rabbi Yehuda that the bag can be back or front, however he carries it, it doesn't make a difference? Because Lav Larei, Malchus, the people who are Lav Larin, a Lav Lar is a sofer, that when they would carry their bags, it would swing back to front. So therefore Rabbi Yehuda added to our Mishnah of Makable Psakin, and that is, in fact, is the din. And we are going to stop here tonight at this Mishnah. Mir Hashem will pick up tomorrow night up for Daf Tzadi Gimel at the bottom of Tzadi Beis and Beis at the Mishnah, wishing you a beautiful, beautiful week.